It's 9:30 in the morning and I'm not really ready to film, but I keep telling myself I'm gonna wait for the right time, and it's just not gonna be a right time. So I'm Josh, and this is the closest thing I'm gonna have to a June TBR this year. This month, damn it. So if you're new here, I'm Josh. I like to read books. If you're not, you might have noticed that I haven't been posting as much lately, and that's just because it's been hard to keep up both with reading and with YouTubing while visiting my family. Part of that is I just haven't had much motivation to do YouTube or to read, but I am working on fixing that. I at least have plans for reading, and that's what I want to talk about today. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that I haven't posted a wrap-up for May, and I'm not really going to, because I read one book last month, and I did do like an end of the month vlog that I'm working on getting up for y'all, and in that I'll discuss that book that I read, and I'll also discuss the several other books that I started and then never finished, just due to time constraints and a bit of a slump. There's a few things going into that which I talk about in that vlog, but this month that means that I have a few books that I started then that I'm working on finishing this month, and then there were a few books I wanted to read for the Queer Lit Readathon, which technically ends, I want to say today. What is today? Today's the 12th. Yeah, today's the last day. And I'm on one book and I'm almost done with it, and I'm probably going to start book 2. But I've gone at least a couple days without reading at all. And so it hasn't gone as successful as I'd hoped, because I was hoping to get through 3 books this week, and it's not happened. But I have at least this book, and I have 2 other books that I want to try and get to for this good queer month. But as well, I want to finish the books that I started last month. So I'm going to start there with the books that I'm still reading from last month. And then I'll tell you what books I've been reading and hope to read for the Queer Lit Readathon. Keeping in mind this is not really a TBR so much as it is like an on my radar. It's just not happening. I'm probably not going to finish all of these, but I'm definitely going to try. Yeah. But since we're here, The Tale of Genji. Oh, my mom's calling. I'll call you back. The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu. And this is a huge novel. It's said to be the first novel ever. I talk about this in my May TBR and in my vlog that's going to be coming out. But this was written in, I think, around the year 1000 by a noblewoman who was basically writing it to entertain the emperor at the time. And it's about this nobleman who was the son of an emperor named Genji. And he is, at least in the first half, starts with him going after his number of conquests, female conquests. And in doing so, it explores, oh God, my chair is moving. It explores the noble life, as well as the marriage life, because while Genji is presented as a fringe, I don't want to say like bad person, he's presented as really pushing the boundary of what is acceptable, even in this sort of polyamorous society, and I guess they're toying with that sort of morality there, and it as someone who's reading a translated edition literally 1,000 years later, I don't know how much of it is criticism by the author, like how much of it she's trying to critique the society, or if I'm just like projecting it because of how bad it seems at times. It is interesting, and the first third was like, I'm halfway through. Yeah, I'm halfway through. The first third was definitely compelling, more compelling than I thought, but now it's feeling repetitive and difficult to get through, unfortunately. But I don't want to give up on it because it's so much. It's only like 1,200 pages, but that's really small text. It's more like 72 hours, which to give you context again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. 2 Stormlight Archives. This was like 35 hours books. This is 72 hours. And so that's what took up most of my time in May. And on top of that, I am still need to finish Survivor by Octavia Butler, which I'll of course link to the live show that's been done for that in Jerry Monk's pages. I say live show, it's more like the Octavia Butler slow read, which was announced, or not announced, but projected on her YouTube channel. And that was a really interesting conversation. I don't want to talk too much about how I'm feeling about it, just for the sake of time here, but I am enjoying it, but it definitely doesn't feel as refined as Octavia Butler's All the Works, which is a conversation that's all had in that live show, so I suggest you go there. But I want to finish this. One reason I didn't finish it, because it's not on audio, because it was never republished, and instead I have to use, that thing, it's an ebook, and it's just taking time. Next was, that was it actually. Those are the 2 books that I am still reading. The one book I did finish that I talked about in my vlog was How to Lose the Time More, which was a short novella and a lot of fun. Moving on to the books I'm trying to read during Queer Lit Readathon, or at least for the queer month, this month, LGBT month. And the first one is Soarland by River Solomon, and I am an hour away from being done with this, so very close to being done. I am enjoying it. I will say I think it's probably going to be my least favorite of their work. It's good, but it doesn't feel as good as the other two works. I think part of that is just I've grown used to the speculative nature of their works, and while this book has a definite speculative side to it, it feels like the most mundane work of theirs. And I don't mean mundane in a bad way. I just mean the world building is more in the real world in a lot of ways than the deep or in an unkindness of Ghost. And I like that added speculative level to it. Still, a solid book so far, and I'll give you all my thoughts though when it's all said and done. The next book I'm most likely to read, in addition to this one, if I get to the rest of my queer TBR here, is going to be Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, aka Shauna McGuire. But in addition to this one, I want to read her prequel to that, Rolling in the Deep, these murderous mermaids. It's a horror book. I think it's YA, but I've liked Shauna McGuire's other YA works. I think I'm really excited for it because I've heard it's kind of like sciencey in how it touches on the horror, and I love the intersection of science and fiction. Like that when you get really deep into it, I just love it so much. So I'm psyched for this one actually. It's my 5-star prediction list. This is one of those. I think another 5-star prediction might be Wild Beauty by Anna Marie Michael Moore. And I don't know what this is about, and I honestly don't need to. There's something unique about Anna Marie Michael Moore why I want to read all of their works, because every work so far, the two that I've read, have just been so spectacular. And part of what I love about it is their writing style. I know a lot of people don't like the flowery writing, but I am absolutely here for it. I love the eccentricity of it. The floweriness just makes it such a pleasure to listen to read. And on top of that, despite the fact that their stories always feel like they're like some type of retelling of some type of fairy tale, they're always so unique that it feels wholly their own. So there's this comfort of this knowingness to it, with the fact that it really is completely its own unique story, and I love how they're able to do that. And I'm really excited for this one, partly because of just how gorgeous this cover is. I mean, I guess if you're seeing the cover here, why am I holding this up? The next two are books I still like to read, but I think they're less likely for me to get to, just based on my current reading pace. The first one is Freshwater by Koike Mezi, one I've really wanted to read for a long time. And this actually, from what I've heard about it, I feel like this book is similar in a lot of ways to Soraland, and without giving away what Soraland is about, like it gives you an idea of what touches on. Like Soraland also explores this idea of these individuals being taken advantage of in this unique situation, and exploring the mindsets of that situation. And I hear this is what this book is about. Specifically what this book is about, Freshwater. I think it's supposed to be similar to, it's using that one experiment, which I forget the name of, it starts with a T, where black people were used as experimented on, unknowingly, basically inflicted with certain elements to try and figure out how the element worked. And this takes that idea and runs with it. It's also, I think, a horror story similar to Soraland. And then finally, I want to read a Baldwin novel. I haven't figured out which one. I'm taking from the early works here, like I have with the last time I read his work, Going to Meet the Man, a short story collection, which was phenomenal, by the way. Check out my February stuff for that information. But I'm going to decide, if I get to it, I'll decide which one I want. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 3 books here. If you would like to recommend which one of these 3, Go Tell It on the Mountain, Giovanni's Room, One Other Country you think I should read, please put it down there. I think if I do end up reading, I'll probably use a quantum number generator to choose between those 3. And I'll probably add in a choice to say let the audience choose. So if I get enough selection, I might just add that on there. So let me know if you have a preference here. James Baldwin is one of those authors I want to read all the works of, even though I've only read one of his works. And I think that one work was a great place to start, just because the short story collection really gives you an idea of the breadth of what he's capable of. And I am just so excited to explore his other works. And on top of that, I have this delusional idea that if I finish all these books, I'll get on my NetGalley. I think the biggest sacrifice of my trip home has been, of me not reading as much while I'm home, that is that not only did I have these books on my TV I wanted to get to, but I was planning on getting a lot of ARCs this summer. And so far, it's not really working. So I'm thankfully not requesting any ARCs, but I'm also not getting through the ones that I've been planning to get through. And I'm going to have to fix that when I probably get home, when I get back in my swing of reading things. But for now, those are the books that are sort of on my radar. Technically, you could say TBR, but I don't expect to read all of these. I would love it if I finished those first 2 books and also managed to read 2 more queer books after Soraland, but I feel confident I'll at least finish Mo Grant's works, I think, because it's just a fun read. It's easy to get lost in a fun read. Sometimes the more cerebral works like Tale of Genji, or even Survivor in some ways, because it's just on audio, and I'm also reading it with a critical eye, wondering, like, why is it that she didn't get this republished? What is it about it that's so bad? That's a bigger conversation to have, I guess, as the wrap-up. Those are all my thoughts. This is my very, very late June TBR and Queer Lit Readathon TBR. If it goes up today, it'll be on the last day. I know it's not the way it's supposed to be done, but we're here now. And I'm going to try my best to get this up and those vlogs up and produce more videos. I want to. I don't know what it is. It's just not happening. Not having the motivation to read or to film or to edit. Part of that has been computer issues, but that's a conversation for another day. Nevertheless, I'm going to stop rambling for some reason. I want to keep talking to y'all. But if you stayed along this long, thank you so much. If you did make it this long, why don't you give me a heart of your favorite color in the comments. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.